Hi everybody, Carol here at Oak House Journals, and as always a big warm welcome and hug from me. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. As you can see, I've been playing with silk cocoons today, and I thought I would use this as an example of how I've used the samples that Beebeecraft sent me recently. For those of you who've been watching my channel, you'll know that Beebeecrafts have a YouTube product review program, and I took part in that recently. They sent me, or I chose some samples. They sent me the samples. I did an unboxing video, and then I did one video showing how I'd used some of the products that they'd sent me, and this is my second video showing how I've used some of the products. So for the unboxing video and for the first one, the first kind of tutorial video or review video, the link will be in the description box down below to both those videos, and also to Beebeecraft's product review program if you're interested in taking part yourself. So as I say, this is my second video, and I thought I would do something slightly different with some of the products that they sent me to try out and review. Now, if you watched the earlier videos, you will know that I got some of these silver jewellery pins. I also got some jump rings. I also got this amazing little hand drill tool. I've had beads and all sorts from them, and I will be showing you what I've been using to create these little goodies. Now, as I say, they're silk cocoons, and I haven't made these for probably about 3 years or so now. These two are all that I have left from the previous ones that I played with, because my last lot I put on in my Etsy shop and sold them, but I kept these two back just for decoration in the craft room here, but also because they're not perfect enough, I thought, to sell. Now, these, you could use them just as a dangle or a decoration like I do in the craft room here. They are amazingly robust. You wouldn't think they would be with them being silk cocoons, but they are. And these two, trust me, take a good bit of bashing from time to time. But I've also used them occasionally as embellishments on the outside cover of my journal. I've put a lobster clasp at the top and clipped them to my sari silk and had them as a dangled embellishment on the outside cover. You could use them, if you use smaller silk cocoons, you could use them as page edge dangles if you wanted to. These are largish cocoons because of the layering. These are obviously two cocoons, one inside the other, so I've made a little cap for the top and then put another cocoon inside it. So to do that, you need fairly big cocoons, but if you find smaller cocoons, then you could quite easily use them as edge page dangles for your journals. So these are, as I say, ones that I've made previously, so I'm just going to pop those to one side. These little ones here are ones that I've made over the last couple of days here at home, and I'll show you those in more detail. But for those of you who aren't familiar with silk cocoons, I'm just going to do a very quick run through of how you buy them and what they look like. So if you're not interested in this bit, fast forward, and I will be showing you how I've put these together and showing these in more detail. So I'm sorry if you're not interested. Fast forward, fast forward. So these are what silk cocoons look like in their natural state. They look and feel a bit like peanuts, and as you can see, they have a slight beard on them, which I tend to just pull off. And this actually is silk fibre. So I tend to pull that off. You could use it and dye it, the fibre I mean, the bearding. I have to admit I don't tend to, but I find that these natural cocoons dye better without the beard on them. You get a nicer finish, and can you hear if I rattle it? It's hollow and it sounds like it's got a bead inside. Now it hasn't got a bead inside. What it has got inside is the silk grub inside there. So I'm going to cut this open so those of you that are interested can see what it looks like inside. If you don't like grubs and bugs and things like that, just look away for 30 seconds. I can assure you these were dead when I bought them, and I've had these for about 5 years now. What I should mention is that 1 or 2 will have marks like this on the outside when you buy them in this form. Don't worry about that, because the marks either cover when you dye them, or you can use them to, you chop that bit off and you're using this part of the cocoon. So just very quickly, I'm going to show you what it looks like inside, everybody. Now, as I say, these silk cocoons are robust. This is a sharp, and I mean sharp, craft knife. To cut one of these with one of these, you can do it, but it takes a wee while. You don't have to worry about crushing these because they are really durable. And please don't do this on a cloth like I'm doing it with a glass mat underneath. Use a cutting mat. If you want to use one of these, then you will need to saw away until you break through. Now, as you can see, I've managed to break through. Once you've broken through, they're easy to work your way round. Like so. But it just takes a little bit of pressure to get it to cut through. And I'm not worrying about it being level or smooth. Now, let me just put that knife away before I do myself a mischief. Keep these little bits because you can use them as caps on the top of your cocoons. And the reason I'm holding this in place is because if you don't like bugs and grubs, just look away, guys, because that's what it looks like inside. If I hold that, you probably can't see. There is a grub in there. Now, trust me, I don't like bugs and grubs at all. So I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't know that bug was absolutely dead. And that's what it looks like. It's petrified, it's solid. And actually that's quite a big one. So I'm just going to throw that away. Now, that's what the inside looks like, and it's quite dusty. There's a few fibres. So what I tend to do is just get my scissors and rattle around inside. And as I say, these are quite resilient, these, or durable, hardy, maybe is the right word. And you can clean them up and they look like that. Some clean up better than others, but this will dye and cover. And that is quite a nice neat edge round there. The other way that you can get into these, if you're having trouble, is just getting your scissors and snipping the end off. You won't get a neat finish, but that doesn't particularly matter depending on what you want to do with your cocoons. Now, these are some that I've been playing with this week. This one, I use the scissors and you end up with kind of like that oval cut. And as you can see, that one's dirty. I haven't cleaned it up inside. If you want to do something like this, these are easy enough to do, but you've got to kind of find 2 cocoons that are roughly the same size. Because you're making these pointed cuts, you can find the outer cocoon that is a tight fit, because these will give as you push it on. Now, this is one I've cut, and again, as you can see, it's quite dirty inside, but don't worry, because it's not dirt, it's just staining on the inside of the cocoon. And that is one that I've just cut. I've got one here that I started cutting. Where is it? Here. Now, to do that, you do need a sharp pair of scissors, and I tend to use, very naughtily, I use my ribbon snips. Now, if you want these to be precise, then you need to measure round your cocoon. Now, if you look at this one is nowhere near precise. I've just randomly made cuts. Some of the points are larger than others. And all I did was go round making snips. I need to drop my glasses, sorry guys. There we go. Just making snips in the cocoon with my scissors. And just snipping all the way around, like so. Do you know how many times do I do that? I know that I have to snip off that point because I can't pull it like paper. So there you go. As you can see, I've just snipped all the way round, and I would go all the way round with that, and then I would find a cocoon that fits and just push it on the top like that. You don't even need to glue it. You just push it on, because you're stitching. You can glue by all means. That's not an issue. If you feel that, I would probably use something like hot glue if I was gluing these together. But I have to say I don't. I find that just by putting the jewellery findings inside when I make the dangles, that is sufficient. So let me just see. Yeah, that's about this one would be a little bit too small to go inside this one, because I would want that pushed up quite high inside. Well, maybe not. I probably would leave that. And true to form, that's the cat coming. Let me just open the door, guys. Come on, big boy. Come on. There you go. Out you go. Good boy. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I would decorate this one. That's not too bad, actually. I'd probably trim that round a little bit more, but yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So that's what you would have to do if you bought the natural cocoons like this. Let me just clear my bits up off the desk. But you can buy them. Oh, and let me just mention this before I move on. You can dye them. And that's obviously what I've done with these. Obviously the white I've just left and the blues I've dyed, and also with the ones here that I've made, I've dyed these myself. But this is what they look like when they're dyed. Now these ones here have dyed really well. They look orange on your screen, but these are actually the most vibrant pink. And they've dyed really well inside. You see that marking, that staining just completely disappears. You don't see it at all. Now these, and most of my others, I've dyed with Dylusions sprays, ink sprays. Now this one is bubblegum pink. And actually looking at the camera, these look orange, but you can make out the pink on here. Now to me, when I put that together, these look darker, but they still look pink, but on the camera they're looking orange. Weird, isn't it? Just weird. So anyway, I digress. I find I get the best results with the Dylusion sprays. You can also use the Ranger sprays as well, the Dylusion inks, not the Dylusion inks, the distress inks or distress stains. They work really well. These, let me pop those to one side. These, as you can see, have not taken well at all. They are irregular. They haven't taken well inside. This one slightly touched one of the pinks, so I've got a little bit of purple there. This one hasn't dyed well inside. Now these, whilst it left a beautiful marking on my paper when they dried, these I sprayed with the Cosmic Shimmer Vintage Mist, and these have mica powders inside, and I think the reason that these didn't work well is because of the mica powder causing the issue. So I mean, and I did give it a really good shake, but I'm pretty certain it's the mica powders that have caused that issue, because these ones I did with the distress stain, and these worked really well. But if you do want to dye your own, I will just very quickly tell you, all I did was I chopped them in half, cleaned them out as you saw me do just now. I put them in a yogurt carton and I sprayed the inks inside. I made sure that there was enough in the, they were positioned so that I could spray inside as well. And then all I did was, this is an old dipping pen that broke. So all I did was stir them round with this to make sure that they were well coated. Then I lifted them out onto a piece of paper, as you saw here, and just left them to air dry. The residue of the ink that was in the yogurt carton, I just pour back into my dilution ink spray bottle, and I will reuse that, because providing you have cleaned out the inside of your cocoon, get rid of that dust and the little bit of cobwebs, that ink is not contaminated and you can use it, so it's not wasted. And I gave them 24 hours to dry. I did it one evening and they were dry by the following morning. So that's what you can do if you want to buy natural cocoons and do your own. And if you dye your own, then obviously it means that you've got a perfect colour match for your project. But if you don't want any of that, what you can do is you can go to the Steph Francis website and you can buy them. And these are some that I've bought from Steph Francis years and years ago. And they're great to work with. They're pre-dyed. They will not be a uniform colour though, and they might still have their beading on them like this one has, as you can see there. They won't be a absolute uniform colour, but I have to say they're pretty good. I find I can get a better uniform colour if I dye mine myself, but if you don't want that whole bug thing, do this. I can't tell you how much Steph Francis charges now for these, or whether or not she still has them, but I will find her link for her website and put that in the description box down below. What you can also do is you can also buy from her these silk rods, and these are gorgeous. And I've used these in embroideries, and this is what they look like when you take them out of the packet, like this. And they have various layers, as you can see, like so, that you can take out and use. Now, the more layers you take out of these, the less colour you get, because obviously the colour is predominantly soaking through from the outside to the inside of these rods. Now obviously the rods are open, so the inside colour is good, but when you start splitting them you start getting lighter or variations in colour. Now this is a purple one that I've completely split, and this is what one of the layers looked like inside. Now I can still use that in abstract embroidery, and I will do, but it's just a point of warning for you so that you know what you're getting. This is one of these purple ones, and this is one that I've split and opened up. And this is one of these pieces that all I've done is I have just rolled it up. As you can see, that's what it looks like. And these are quite stiff when you first get them, and then as you can see you can tease them apart like this and they become softer, and that's what I've done with these. These ones feel really soft and flexible, and this one I've just rolled it up in my fingers like so, because what I would do with this, here's one I've been playing with this week that isn't finished off. I would insert it inside. I would roll up more and I would insert it inside just for a different piece of decoration. And let me show you what that will look like when it's finished. This green one that I've done here, as you can see, I've just randomly stitched seed beads on it, and there's my jewellery findings, or my pins at the top. And can you see this ruffle here round the bottom? It's not open like this. This is a ruffle of one of the silk rods. And sorry, if I just try and hold that a bit better for you, it just gives it a little bit of interest. And you pick up different colours, and then all I've done with this is I've put my hat pin or my jewellery pin down the centre of my cocoon through that ruffle. I did put a dab of glue at the end of my ruffle because my ruffle is as long as my cocoon inside. I did put a dab of glue just at the end here, and all I did was I used Beacon 3-in-1 glue when I pushed it in just to hold it in place, and then obviously did my jewellery findings with it afterwards. Okay, so that's all the shenanigans about the cocoons. Let's get on and talk about how once you've got them and you've got them dyed, what you do with them. Now, all I've used on the outside of mine is I've used seed beads, and these are some a little plastic container of seed beads that I got from Beebeecrafts. Very, very tiny, and you could use some that you might already have in your stash, and these were some that I already had in my stash. And all you do is you find yourself a very long needle, certainly one that is going to be longer than your cocoon. And what I've done with mine is I've threaded it up with this. I can see on my finger. This is like fishing line, but it's much, much finer. And it's microfilament illusions cord. Now, I've had this for a while, and I got it from Hobbycraft here in the UK. But any clear jewellery thread, plastic thread, will do. But don't panic if you can't find this, because you can just use normal cotton, and that is actually all I've used on these, just normal cotton, sewing cotton that I've used double thickness. So you don't have to have the clear plastic thread like this. I have to say I prefer to use it, and the only reason is because when I am stitching around the inside of my cocoons, you can't see if you're using the clear thread. If you're using white thread or cotton, you can see your stitching inside. Now, that's not particularly a problem if you are going to be putting in one of these silk rods inside, and actually you don't see that much, but if you're going to be using a contrasting colour like I've done here, I could see inside here my white on the inside of my silk cocoon. Now, that didn't bother me for the simple reason that it was a cap and I knew it would be hidden. But if I'd been doing it in the blue here, I would have seen all the stitching inside. So the secret, if you're using just normal sewing cotton, is to use one that matches the colour of your cocoon. And all I do is I put a double knot with my thread. I take my long needle and I just push up and through my cocoon, catch a bead and go down the same hole, and I randomly just stitch all the way round my cocoon. Now, every few beads I will do a knot on the outside. I will make a loop round the bead that I've just stitched and take my needle through it, and so it forms a knot underneath the actual bead. And I do that every now and then just to actually give it more security. And that's all I do, just randomly stitch round. One tip I will tell you about doing this is that if you want to be a little bit more controlled with your placement of beads, what you can do is actually make a hole from the outside through to, they're quite tough, these things, outside to the inside. It's just gone through. Outside to the inside with your needle. Then take it out, hold it up to the light, and I'm this is not going to work. You hold it up to the light, and there you go. You can just, I think, see, hang on, the holes, a hole there. Can you just see a hole there? Now, that would be where I put my needle through from the inside. I would come out and I would then do my bead, put my bead on my thread, and then go down the same hole. Now, if you do that, you have a little bit more control where you place your beads. If you're not bothered, it's easier to push your needle through from the inside to the outside of your cocoon. If, for example, like I've got here, I've just dinted this cocoon. Now you can put your finger up inside and push that dint out. As I say, these are really quite hardy little cocoons. And that's all I've done. I've just randomly stitched round using a needle and a normal thread, or some thread like this. And then to end off, my last bead, I will just do a couple of knots round my last bead, and then secure, just snip off my thread, and then you're done. As simple as that. I mean, they are so easy. The next thing, obviously, is how you decorate them. Now, that's just like doing dangles. So with this one, I took a couple of pieces of chain, and using my pins here and my jump rings, I secured some beads to the chain. And then this is where, let me bring in some other bits and bobs and show you. So for example, I've got some examples tucked away off to one side here. So I'm going to bring them in to show you how I've done these dangles. And that goes with that one, and these go to one side here with this one. Okay, so let's do this. So for, where are we? This one, I've done my chains. So that's what I've done on this one. Now I've got my chains, and I've taken one of these pins that I got from Beebeecraft. Can you hear my cat? Desperate to get in. And I've just put my round nose pliers inside. I've just opened up that, and I have threaded through my chains and then closed it up. Now here I've got one that I've got some chains, and I'm just going to do that now. So as you can see, I've just put some little beads on the end there, and then this one here I've put some more on. Can you just bear with me 1 second? I'm just going to open the door. Oh, sorry about that, guys. He was going to scratch my door to bits there. He's so desperate to get in. Oh, he's doing it again. Bishop, stop it. Stop. Go lie down now. Go lie down. Oh, So, just threaded them through like that, and then all I'm going to do is just close that circle up again, like so. Okay. And where's my, there we go. So that is what I want to go through into my cocoon. Now, to make the hole in the top of the cocoon, I've just got one of these pokey tools, and just very carefully working from the inside to the out again, I've just gone up through the centre there of my cocoon, and then my dangle goes up inside like so. So I've just taken that pin up through the centre of my cocoon to where I've created a hole. Now all I do is I get my pliers. Oh, he's gone to lie down now. That's good. God, he was obsessed there for a minute. And very carefully. Oh, now this is what happens. And this is bad news when they slip out like that, because they are so difficult now to get back. Because it's short, it's so difficult to get it back through the hole. So I'm going to start again with this one. Pop that off to one side. Get another one of my ring end pins. Just open it up again, like so. Get my pieces of chain. I'm just catching through the loops there, nothing special. Closing it up. Now I'm not bothered about having too neat a finish on the end there, because it's going to be tucked up inside. I will just try flattening that off a little bit, like so. And let's go back. So I'm going back through the hole that I've created in my cocoon, like so. And I'm just going to try and snip off, as I said before, about a centimetre, and let's see if I can hang on to it this time, because as I say, this is where it does get tricky. You need to hang on to that. And now I'm just going to twist round and make Oops, sorry, I didn't realise I'm off camera there for you guys. Just made a ring at the top, like so. You see? And then all I need to do now is just get one of my jump rings. Thread it through the top. And close it up. So there we have this little one. I'll just try and hold that up a bit better for you. That's, as you can see, just a really, really simple one to do. Just with a little bit of chain and some beads. And these beads are some that I got from Beebeecrafts. Let me show you. I've put them away in. These were, I think they were agate beads, and again I will put the link in the description box down below. But look how gorgeous these beads are. They're almost got a frosty finish to them. And they're glass beads, and I have to say, I've loved working with these. These are two more that I've used these ball-headed pins, these silver ball-headed pins, to create these little dangles. And then to fix them to a piece of chain, I've just used a silver jump ring, and that is literally all I've done on this to create that one. Okay, and this one was exactly the same, except I just used one piece of chain and I connected it in exactly the same way using a jump ring to connect those little beads, as you can see there, just to one single piece of chain. Used one of those ring-headed pins and got a bit of thread on that one. Let me just snip that off. This is one where I've used actually embroidery thread, not embroidery thread, just normal sewing thread to stitch these beads on. So again, on the end of this chain, I've just used one of these normal ring-headed pins, threaded it through the top where I made a hole, and I've used a bead cap to decorate the top of my cocoon, and I really like using these, I have to say. And then I've just used one of these Beebeecraft jump rings on the top to create a slightly more ornate dangle. So that's that one. So that's those two. This one, I used the ball-headed, not the ball-headed, one of these ring-headed pins, and my beads, again, I use the ball-headed pins through my beads, attach them to a jump ring, and then attach them to the circle at the end of this pin, and then threaded it up through my bead, my cocoon. What am I talking about? And this is another variation on that one. This time, instead of just attaching a couple of beads to the end of one pin, I've just put one bead at the end of each hat pin and then attach them to a jump ring and then attach them to another ball-headed pin. Made my hole at the end of my cocoon and then threaded it all through, and obviously when it gets to this jump ring it will stop, and that's what that one will look like. So again, let's finish this one off. So snipping off my end. So I've got just over a centimetre, I would say. Whoops, daisy. So I've secured my pin in place there. Get my jump ring. Bishop's obviously gone for a sleep now. He's probably very disgruntled that his mum didn't want to cuddle him. And there we have it, another one. Just a slight variation on a theme there. So those pins are just hanging down like so. Okay, so that's another one. This one, I did another one of those raggedy caps, but this time rather than do the threads going down to a single seed bead, I was quite happily relaxing. So I just did random seed beads on the top, and I put a dab of glue inside again for this one. You don't have to, but this was quite a loose fit, as you can see on this one. I spoke too soon. Can you hear him at the door again? And I've popped a hole in the top again using my pokey tool from Ranger. And then again, I've gone back to the chain idea, and this time I've connected my chains to one of the ring end pins. These are some flat mother of pearl beads, and I'm just going to show you how I've connected that to my chain. So if I get one of these, there is a hole that goes through the beads, like so. I love the finish of these ball-headed pins. I absolutely love these. And I also like the gauge. These are 24 gauge silver wire. And I have to say, I absolutely love them. I love the quality. I love the ease with which I can make my rings at the top. And I am not a jewellery maker by any means. I just have a little dabble now and then for doing things like this and my dangles. But I have to say, I get a better finish with these by far. So I've got my jump ring. I'm just attaching it to the end of my chain. Whoops, off camera again. Sorry, guys. Now, these jump rings are just about the same size as my chain. I think I will use a slightly smaller jump ring, guys. Just bear with me 1 second. These are still, the ones I've got here off to one side, are still Beebeecraft ones, but they're just slightly smaller in size, which also means that they're slightly thinner, a thinner gauge, which means that they're a tad easier to, there we go, tad easier to thread through that fine chain. So there we go. So again, okay, so there's my dangles on the end of my circular pin. I'm going to just try and thread up through the hole I've already made, like so. Made my loop again. Get my jump ring. Oops, a daisy. I've not closed that one up particularly well. I'm at an odd angle actually for doing these. I'm trying desperately to keep my head out of the camera, line of fire on the camera. So I can't actually quite get over the top of these jump rings as I'm closing them. So if I'm looking very ham-fisted doing this, that's the reason why. Normally I would be bent over. That's it, a lot closer. So that's my other dangle. Woo, it's gone for a Burton too. That's my other dangle, everybody. Like that one. I actually like how that one looks. Very busy, but I like it. And just very, very quickly, one final one, because I thought you might want to see me put a bead cap on the top. So this is another one I've just decorated, and again for this I went up through the from the inside to the outside of the cocoon with my needle and thread. I then put on 5 or 6 beads, I think it was 5 beads, tiny seed beads, and then went down further down. So that's the only way, that's the way that I've got these lines of beads there. I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I mean, it's amazing what you can play with, isn't it? This again is another one of those circular hat pins or jewellery finding pins, and this time there's a lobster clasp with some of these little dangles, which if you've been watching my channel you'll know came from an old necklace that I bought many moons ago, and all I've done is I've just clipped it onto there. These are the same dangles, and this time all I've done is, instead of putting them on the lobster clasp, I've just put them on a piece of chain with a jump ring, and that's all I've done. And I'm going to use this one for inside my cocoon this time. So where's my circular pins? And as previously, all I'm going to do is just open that up a little bit. Get my pin through my chain like so. Just close it up. I've already made the hole through my cocoon to the top. So there's my dangles there. Bead cap on top, just to sit there like so. And again, snip it off. Oops. I spend my days after I've been doing this walking around the craft room trying to find those little bits that flew off everywhere, and then just do my circle at the top. There we go. And then one more jump ring. Guys, this must be painful for you watching me fight with these jump rings, but this is the last one, I promise you. I promise. Through the top. Probably a vintage one might have looked better, or one of the antique bronze ones might have looked better on this particular one, but there we go. Actually, it probably would have done. You've got a right mishmash of colours there. You've got kind of like antique bronze, silver at the top, these gold beads, and then this the dangles there. But you know what I mean. I don't have any of these those ring pins in antique bronze. Don't know if they do them or not. I'm sure they probably will do. One of the stainless steel coloured ones that I got previously might have been a better choice for this one, but anyway, this is what I've done, and you get the general idea. So there we go, everybody. Just before I head off, and I'm sorry it was such a bit of a mishmash of a video for you today, but one or two other things just very quickly that I should mention to you. You don't always need to, if you want to layer up your cocoons, you don't always have to cut both of them. This is one where I've put one cocoon inside another, but I've not cut it at the bottom like this. I've just left it sealed. I've gone through the whole of the cocoons with the jewellery finding, and I've left my loop at the bottom, if you can see, like so. So I could attach something to that. So for example, I could attach something like that to it if I wanted to, a lobster clasp to it, and do it that way. Or I could use, now this is just, as you can see, a bulb pin, and I've threaded through lots and lots of these beautiful little pearls. And again, these came from Beebeecraft as well, and I'll put the link down below. These are just some single pearls that I have put on pins and just put on this bulb pin just to hold them secure. Now you could do the same sort of thing. You could actually hang your bulb pin from this little loop at the bottom if that's what you wanted to do. So equally, I could have put that on the bottom and had a big multiple dangle. You don't have to use single dangles. You could do something like this one and put 3 beads and dangle it from the bottom. What I did last time when I made my silk cocoons, what I did last time was I used a lot of charms. Now something like this you could equally hang from the pins inside. This is part of an old bracelet, and you could equally use one of these to dangle from your jewellery finding. Another thing that you could use, for example, these are just 3 tiny little beads that have it's sea glass and they've got holes in them. Now equally, you could put these not on a piece of cord like this is just to keep them secure, so I know that they're all safe and together and I don't lose them in amongst my stash. But equally, you could put a little stack of those hanging through the bottom of one of your cocoons. And actually, how nice would it have gone with that aqua greeny coloured cocoon? That would have made a nice little dangle. So there we have it, everybody. I think I've bored you enough today. Sorry it was such a mishmash of a video. I get very distracted when the cat the cat wants to come in. He's a lovely boy and I adore him to bits. You know, who wouldn't? You know, you love your animals, don't you? But he's not like Leo. He's not as well behaved, and he will be on here in the middle of all of this, causing absolute havoc. And he's such a big cat, and the gap between the camera up here and this is about a foot. Now, he's a big cat and he would fill that space and everything would go for a Burton. So I did have to shoo him away there. And I will probably regret it for the rest of the day because he'll probably be sulking with me badly now. But anyway, sorry about that, guys. So thank you so much for letting me share this little video with you today. I hope you found it interesting. And I do hope you'll give playing with cocoons a go, because they are lovely to play with, really good fun. So I hope you give it a go. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Bye bye now.